There can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks, I'm Matt. By myself today. No worries. Wes and Brandon himself will be joining us on the next podcast. This one I want to do on me own. It's been a while. Wes said that Brandon knows nothing about Marvel TV shows, which is fine. I didn't even think to ask Wes what he knew, but I don't know if he was interested in it. Bruce, it's been too long since he has seen the shows. So he passed. Well, he may be on future ones. He said he could probably talk a little bit about it. But either way, here's how it started. So I have been watching Agatha all along, which is probably the worst Marvel show that's ever been created. I can't believe that something beats Secret Invasion, but it looks like it will. Now, the thing is, I've still got like a couple of episodes of Agatha all along to go. But while watching an episode, I was so disgustingly bored. Like I just hated everything about the show. I hate everything about it. And when will I talk about it? Not for another couple of months. Because then I decided, I said, you know what? Why am I watching this? Bruce is going to watch it eventually. We're going to talk about it like we usually plan to, but lately we haven't. Marvel's been crap, but has it always been crap? So I decided to go back and watch some of the older MCU Marvel shows that I skipped back in the day. And the point is, the thing is, I've watched both Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent Carter, I gave up 3 episodes in because it was teetotal hot garbage. Couldn't stand it. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I gave up after season 2. Season 3 I gave up. Then came back and watched season 4, like on streaming, gave it a second shot. Then stopped again after season 4 because it was so bad. And I believe Bruce and I did a podcast on this not a couple of years back when it had come out. We had talked about it, so I may wrap up a few of it when I talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I decided, okay, let's start again. Let's watch both seasons of Agent Carter. Let's start watching season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We watched this. I skimmed through season 4, but I remember some of it, and the other parts I didn't care about. It reminded me why I hated the show so much. So I said, let's see if I can do this and see if either season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or any episode of Agent Carter, if I say I'd rather be watching Agatha all along. That's the point. If I'd rather be switching it, then that was the rule. And folks, I still haven't finished Agatha all along. Okay, so let me go about this. First off, Agent Carter. It's like the prequel, sequel, Captain America, Agent Peggy Carter. I didn't think she was that important in the movie. I hardly remember that movie. It was a good movie, if I remember right. I had no desire to see her in her own little role, playing in the 50s or whatever, playing at a place that predates S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, I guess she's going to be the first agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. eventually. That's probably what they intended to do with this TV series, but it got canceled after 2 seasons, and I know why. However, I watched it. Season 1, I hate it, and it's not as bad as season 2. But season 1, the main thing, I kept thinking, wow, I really am disgusted by, is it the series? No, is it Peggy Carter? Which is what I may have said in a very early podcast when talking to Bruce about it. I think I said this in a very early podcast, but I think I'm wrong again because after watching it, and by the way, I watched all 2 seasons of Agent Carter, not once thinking I want to watch Agatha all along, because I do, and I'll say this about both seasons, the look of the show is beautiful. That 50s look, early 50s or late 40s, it seems like. It's just a beautiful look, man. And they go with it. And how the light shines is the old, they kind of have the noir thing going in a way. There's a super bright light over their heads and desk at times. And I like that. I like that aesthetic. So I appreciate that. Agent Carter on her own isn't bad. And I said she was in my first initial review after 3 episodes. But watching the whole season, she's not bad. Now, Matt, you've been watching crap like Echo and She-Hulk and Agatha all along and Secret Invasion. and Lord knows what else garbage I've had to swallow over the past few years. Yes. But the only thing that really, it still bothers me today is how dumb every man is blown up into big, muscular, machido man, they, a woman's place is in the kitchen. What can a woman do? She can fetch my coffee. And every guy is like that. So every guy is a male chauvinist pig, and they're morons. And that is no more the truth in season 1, where they're just a bunch of dummies running a super secret government office. None of them know their head from their ass. But Agent Peggy Carter, oh, heck no. She knows everything. She sneaks around and gets away. And the boys don't even know she solved the case. The boys think they did it. And they don't know the case just fell into their lap. And it's almost like, I remember telling Bruce this on a podcast years ago. It's almost like she looked at the camera and winks like, hey, Agent Peggy Carter. And it reminded me of one of my favorite cartoon series called Hong Kong Phooey. Hong Kong Phooey, #1 super guy. You've never seen it before. Hanna-Barbera's best creation. Watched it all the time. Still watched it. I watched it a couple years ago, right before my kids were born. Or as my youngest girls were born. Maybe I was watching it while I was on paternity leave. Either way, still a good cartoon. Makes me laugh. I love it. But Hong Kong Phooey is an idiot. He's a moron. And the only reason he catches the bad guys every time is because he has this cat that follows him along. Now, he doesn't know the cat is the real brains behind everything. The cat helps Hong Kong Phooey unknowingly, unwittingly, outsmart and and capture the bad guys every time. But Hong Kong Phooey thinks it's him. And the cat just kind of, paws his face a little bit. Like, all right. And it's almost like that every guy in this secret, I think it's called SSR instead of SHIELD, every guy in SSR is Hong Kong Phooey. They talk a big game. Ooh, they talk a big game. And Agent Peggy, why don't you go do your nails, honey, while we solve this? And then they're morons who can't do anything. It is so unrealistic. Maybe make one guy like that. In fact, what insult to injury, the episode before, when they're all stunned that Agent Peggy Carter has been behind unsolving all these mysteries. Like, she's the real brains. Everyone's super shocked. Of course they are, because they're morons. And she goes, well, you guys you never see. They said, why didn't you ask for help? Agent Carter, we would have helped you if you'd have told us. She went, the only time I'm noticeable to you is when you need someone to type you a letter or fetch you coffee or lunch. So she's very offended by that. So she, and of course there's a crippled guy who likes pet Agent Carter, and he's like, yeah, teach it to these men, and this guy is just this wussy. Anyway, so they're all stupid. She gets mad at them because they underestimated her. Yet in the very next episode, we see her origin where I guess it's only in America, because in the UK, all the men respect Agent Carter. In fact, she was brought in to be a secret agent when she didn't want to, but she was highly suggested to go in. Now, it turned out to be her brother who got her in. But the thing is, though, all the men were welcoming. They were and they told her, said, hey, well, there are spies, and some of the best spies are women, which was true back then. You still have women spies today, I think. But women make great spies. They can get under a man or over a man and make him tell you his secrets. And they're sweet and coy and shy, and men can be very stupid. And the smart woman can get stuff out of a man and secret information, secret stuff, and flirt with guys and whatnot. So, yeah, and these women were smart too. They weren't just, hussies. They were super smart women, specially trained. So these people existed back then. So that these guys, I mean, sure, there may be a guy who goes, I don't want no woman in my office. I'm sure there's someone like that. I'm sure there was. But the whole group? No. Maybe people who didn't trust her, didn't think that she could do it. And then when they proved her wrong, said, keep working, Peggy. You're impressing me every day. Way to go. Give her a hand when she does something right. Not like, laugh at her. What does a woman know? If I want to know what dress she wears, Carter, I'll call you. Just so dumb. And it's over. Like, there's a line, I think it's season 2 now, By the way, season 1 is in New York, which I thought was nice. Season 2, they went to Los Angeles. I like the change of view. There's a new SSR location now in Los Angeles that she goes to. But of course, when in New York, when their new boss, at the end of the first season, someone gets credit for solving the whole mystery, cracking the case. And it's not Carter. When the government official comes in, he assumes it's the chief dies in the series, season 1. Spoilers, by the way, for a show that's almost 10 years old. So the second in command kind of takes over, but he's the biggest blowhard idiot ever. But when the state official comes in, he assumes that this guy did it. And so when Peggy Carter didn't say anything, he takes credit for it. And he goes, son, you'll go places. In fact, the president's on the line. He went, oh, maybe I should tell him I'll vote for him next time. You know, and it's just, oh, so awful. But then the guy on the crutches goes, Peggy Carter, why didn't you tell them it was you? Me? And to which Agent Carter says the most diarrhea line you'll ever hear. It's like, well, Clyde, or whatever his name was, well, crippled Timmy. Well, maybe his name was Tiny Tim. Well, Tiny Tim. She said, she said, I don't mind if I don't get credit. That's not the whole point. The point is the right thing got done, and you know the world turns as it is. No, Peggy Carter, that is not what you said in the very previous episode. In the last episode, you gave a big speech about them not giving you proper credit, about them underestimating you, about how no one thought you could do it, and you did. And it's about proving yourself. Yet when a man who doesn't deserve it, everyone's a big doofus in that department, but when he gets the credit for it and starts walking off to talk to the president, you let it go by telling Tiny Tim, oh, it's not that important, kid, buck up. Just totally ridiculous. It is totally 1,000% ridiculous. That is the worst thing about Agent Carter. Now, is Agent Carter the worst thing in the world? No, it's not the worst TV show. In fact, it beats She-Hulk, Echo, Secret Wars, Agatha All Along. I don't know. Moon Knight, I'm going to give it to Moon Knight, even though Moon Knight wasn't the best. But Agent Carter, so aggravating. But the story for 2 was really good. The storyline was good. And that's when I started figuring, oh, wait, I don't hate Agent Carter. I just hate that whole thing that men are just, macho men. They're super stupid. Everyone underestimates a woman. And in season 2, the most pathetic line, I think, was said when they have Tony Stark's dad is in it a lot, which is fun. It's fun to see him, and the real Jarvis, which I think is Vision. I think they got the actor to come back and play him. I should have checked that out beforehand, but I'm pretty sure it was him. I mean, so anyway, Jarvis is in a lot, and Tony Stark's dad, Howard Stark, is in a lot. And Howard Stark is great. In fact, there is a brief cameo from a Western Marvel comic book called Kid Colt, because that's the movie in Los Angeles that Howard Stark is making. And Kid Colt was in the Marvel comic books. In fact, Stark actually points that out to Peggy Carter, who holds up a Kid Colt comic book, and goes, this guy sells millions of comic books. He'll make a great movie character. And it shows someone in the Kid Colt costume. I mean, to be honest, that's a really smart cameo, even though it wasn't the real Kid Colt. But I like that call out in the Marvel universe. That was fun. That was a fun little not really a crossover, but a laughable crossover that I thought was fun, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that reference. In fact, there's a few things about Howard Stark I enjoy. He's not in every episode, which is good. He would get old quick, but for what he is, he's fine. There's one time, there's a spy who slept with him, and even though she got some information out of him, and she's using that against him, the whole time, Stark is trying to remember what her name is. And he's really trying to remember, because he's proud that he never forgets a name. And it's super funny. It's a super funny scene where he keeps trying to guess her name. She's like, will you shut up? He's like, and then at the end, they say her name. He's like, oh, yeah. Or whatever her name was. Penny. I shouldn't. I knew that. I knew that. That was going to be my next guess. It was Penny. That was her name. And it's just funny. It's goofy. It's not supposed to be taken seriously. But at the same time, I enjoyed that. Anyway, The scene I'm talking about, I'm getting off base here. So Peggy Carter goes into a club that's not, it's a gentleman's club, not for women, just for gentlemen. Not no scantily clad women there either, just for men's. It's a men's club. So Tony Howard Stark comes in and kind of just blows the doors open, brings all his entourage of women who flirt with all the men, causes chaos, while Peggy, pretending to be one of the floozies, runs off to go do her super snooping because she finds a secret bookcase that opens up to an open room where this council is, and she's trying to place a bug in the council room and not get caught. But, of course, right as she hears footsteps, she closes the secret door, and someone walks in, and they're mad. Hey, what are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be in here. And Jarvis is running down the hallway going, ma'am, oh, I'm sorry, she got turned around. She's like, how could you get so confused? The bathrooms were this way, you know? And so this is what I'm talking about. Peggy turns to the guy and goes, I'm sorry, when I look at books, I get confused, and runs off, which is a stupid, stupid line. And no guy would say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Broads are dumb. You know, they can't read. No one, not even in the 50s, would have fallen for that. It's the dumbest. But again, remember, in the world of Agent Carter, every man is stupid. And they believe the women are stupid too. So that stupid woman got dizzy looking at books. Oh, that makes sense because women are stupid. Yeah, like some guy's going to say that. It was just completely idiotic. Other than that, though, I will say that Howard Stark channeled Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr., a different version, but you could see, you know, Tony is a chip off the old block, as they say. So I thought that was nice. They gave him the mustache, too, that Robert Downey Jr. Would sometimes wear. But other than that, I thought that was pretty good. I thought he was pretty good. Jarvis was okay. They tried to make Jarvis really funny, like he's kind of the sissy that gets into the high-stakes thing and then is like, oh, I can't wait to go home and rearrange all the spices in Mr. Stark's drawer tonight. You know, but he thrives on the adventure and whatnot, even though he can't do this or that. Like he offers to spar with Peggy Carter because he does a little boxing in his day. And Peggy just beating up this dummy goes, or someone else, you know, or something like that. It's supposed to be funny, but I never found any of Jarvis thing funny, even though I like Jarvis as a character. They just tried too hard to make him the comedic relief in the show. Now, like I said, season 2 has a great villain. There's some kind of black goo matter, antimatter. It's sad because I want to say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Uses the same stuff in season 5. But they call it different things. It's called dark matter back then, but it's called gravitron or gravid, whatever it is. It seems to be similar. Maybe it is supposed to be similar. I don't know. I'm trying to watch these in release date order when they came out so that I won't fall too far behind. When I found out that Agent Carter had ended before season 5 had taken place, I put a pause on season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and watched all of Agent Carter. All the while forgetting about Agatha all along, mind you. But that art was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I was interested. I was engaged. The only thing I really hate about it is that, you know, men are all stupid and they think women are stupid, which just doesn't make sense. It's totally stupid. Totally idiotic concept. But Agent Carter, is it worth watching? Probably not. It's probably not. I mean, you know, if you have someone who loves the 50s, 40s look, maybe. Like I said, the story's interesting, but if they just drop the whole stuff, it'd be a lot better. Anything else with Agent Carter before I go on? No. Oh, it does end on a little bit of a cliffhanger. The head of SSR in New York, he gets shot and killed. He comes in the last few episodes of Agent Carter Season 2, and then he gets killed at the end. Obviously, they had plans for more, but no one was watching the show because it was garbage. Or garbage for, you know, when things used to be above par at Marvel. When Marvel expected excellence. Nowadays, Agent Carter would be leagues better than the last 4 TV shows they put out. Leagues better. But back then, they had high standards. And so Peggy Carter just didn't cut it, and they canceled her. Do I think Peggy Carter Agent Carter deserves a season 3? Deserved a season 3? No. Heck no. Never. Not if they're going to keep with that. Even though it would be interesting 10 years later if they threw her into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the 70s and you had someone playing a young Nick Fury, I kind of would dig that. I kind of would dig that. I'd be awesome. Or an age, well, I don't know. Either way, though. Done with Agent Carter. Moving on to season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I told you about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The first 2 seasons, I enjoyed it, even though I was getting annoyed, and I said this with Bruce, that I was annoyed that it seems like they always have to work around the movies and say, oh, this is the aftermath of the Thor 2 movie. This is the aftermath of the second Avengers movie. This is the aftermath. But at least it connected. And Josh Whedon, to his credit, was trying to connect Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with a lot. They had way bigger plans for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than what happened. And you could tell in season 3 when they really started losing their way and the Who's a Hydra Agent storyline just went rampant. And I really wasn't a fan of it. And I ended it after that. And then I started it back up. And I remember talking to Bruce about this because I heard Ghost Rider was in it. Bruce had told me. So I went back, started watching all the season 4. Hated it. Hated it. Didn't like the Ghost Rider. Even though Ghost Rider makes a big... They keep mentioning him in season 5. Didn't really like season 5 in a way because they went to the future. They see the Krees, I think. It's just humans painted blue. And they were on a spaceship for the first half of the season. And it feels like, honestly, it feels like a very boring version of Babylon 5 or Deep Space Nine. And it's like we've seen this world before. We've seen people stuck on a station with heavy overlords where everyone's living like in trash sectors, mainly Babylon 5, like that, junk dealers and stuff like that. The law of the land, as the Kree look over you. And that's been there, done that. They did tie into Inhumans, which I did not realize had come out. I thought it debuted the same time as season 5, but it debuted before season 5 even went out. So now, currently, as of this podcast, I am watching the Inhumans and catching up with that, even though I don't think I missed anything. But of course, Marvel can't use the word mutant at the time. They didn't have the rights to mutant. That was Fox back then when they were separate. So they found a workaround and started calling mutants Inhumans. Ha ha ha! So now Inhuman, that word is a big buzzword everywhere. They use a gas to turn people into Inhumans, which from watching the first episode of Inhumans, that was in that show first. Or what maybe they shared universes. But I enjoyed that Inhumans, the word, is the only tie-in we have to another show. I wish they did crossovers to these shows. These shows, every Marvel show, except for maybe WandaVision, has had zero impact on the Marvel Universe. Zero impact on the Marvel Universe as a whole. Now, does it have to have big impact? No, but I'd like it to have some impact. I would like it to go somewhere, But I feel like they've just kind of lost their way over time. Either way, I digress. Moving back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., season 5, they get off the base halfway through the season, make it back to their world, their time. And it's supposed to happen, and they even mentioned this toward the end, during of the Avengers movie against their battle with Thanos. It's not called Endgame, or maybe it's Endgame Part 1. I don't know. I don't care anymore. But it was the first time they're fighting Thanos is when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is happening. Okay, so I don't know why they aren't joining in this big universal battle. Remember, it's Thanos versus everyone. But meanwhile, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can't even get involved, even though Josh Whedon is directing this movie and wanted to tie them in. He never does. He lets them know they're fighting Thanos right now. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., though, they're busy stopping Gravitron or whatever, a new villain they created for the last, 3-4 episodes of the season to give the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. something to do. But at the same time, is that Earth's biggest threat right now? It reminds me of a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode, which is an excellent episode, where Buffy and all her friends are at some world-ending event, like if they don't stop it, the world will end. So they don't want to tell their friend Xander, because Xander doesn't have any powers. He's not a witch, he's not a werewolf, he's not a vampire slayer, nothing. He has no special abilities. So to protect him, They don't tell him. Well, the whole episode is Xander trying to save the high school from blowing up because these zombies who were former students, there was a spell that turned them into zombies. They want to blow up the school. And so while he's trying to blow up the school, meanwhile, in the school library is the big world-ending event going on. You never get to see it. You see flashes, you hear noise, but Xander doesn't know what it is. He's trying to stop this bomb. He thinks that is the big thing, while all the while the big story is going on around him. Like we see people getting beat up and, moments like Buffy and Angel having a moment where music's playing. We're walking. From Xander's point of view, you're walking into this really tense moment. And they go, "Oh, what did you want something, Xander?" He's like, "No, I just I'll leave you be," and he goes away. So he doesn't realize something big event's going on right now. It's an excellent episode, but that's how it feels like for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. While the universe is coming to a close, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. must stop Gravitron. Oh, that is so weak. A character they made up 3 episodes prior, just to have some big bad guy to fight. Now, last episode looked really good. It was directed by Josh Whedon, I saw. He did put an effort in. It was supposed to be the ending of the series. Like, if it only went 5 seasons, that was great. They did get granted 2 additional seasons, half seasons, if I remember right. But they made it so where you could say it was an ending. They killed off a character, which I know since they got renewed. I have not seen season 6, but I will bet anything. And I think they even say this. They're going to look for his... It's a time travel analogy. He traveled through time by freezing his body in the future. And he went to the future by freezing his body and then flew back with them in the past. But his current body is still frozen in time. So wait, if they go save him, will he not be there to save them in the future? I don't get it now. So time travel never... And they make a joke, time travel never makes sense. But now they're going to go find his frozen body, which is definitely going to happen. And Coulson is going to die. And he's doing his bucket list with May, who he's falling in love with, which I don't really like that storyline. But either way, that was his send-off. Now, I don't ever remember Agent Coulson leaving S.H.I.E.L.D. I remember him being in season 6 and 7, or I think so. I could be wrong on that. Again, have not seen it. You can give me spoilers. I'm not going to read anything right now in the comments. But I'm pretty sure he's still alive, and they're going to do something with him. Even though I never saw 6 or 7. But I think he was in this. I think he stayed with it the whole series. Anyway, regardless of that, season 5 had a lot of ups and downs. In fact, I have watched 8 minutes of Agatha all along. In between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's extremely boring. There are 40 minutes of boring and 2.5 minutes of exciting stuff in every Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. 2.5 minutes of interesting things. Most of this stuff is really boring. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has really lost its way, and it's just garbage. But I am going to finish it. But I'd go back to watch Agatha all along, and I'd watch it for 2 minutes and go, nope. Going back to rather would watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay? Matt, why don't you choose none of the above? Because I like torturing myself, I guess. But either way, season 5... and that's the other thing. Season 5, in the future, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., one of the characters is known as Destroyer of Worlds. She's the most powerful person in the universe. Really? When you have Thor, when you have Captain America, Hulk, come on, get out of here. They don't even know their place in the world. And because the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had to save the world. Well, why wouldn't the Avengers do it? That's the thing. It's a problem I have with Eternals. Why would Eternals have to save the world? Where were the Avengers then? Why couldn't they save it? It was this big cataclysmic event. Make it happen out in space like Guardians of the Galaxy where no one knows what goes on. Or make it small town like, Spider-Man. Do something small. Don't go big like that. Now, secret agencies that no one ever knows like Hydra, I'm okay with that because you don't see it. But big earth-shattering events like Gravitron, obviously the heroes weren't there to stop him because they were all stopping Thanos, which Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been doing. And I don't know. Gravitron said he needed the power to fight Thanos. And he was trying to accumulate more power, I guess, to go fight Thanos, but they really didn't mention that in the last 2 episodes. One of the episodes they mentioned he had to have more power so he could fight Thanos, but then they dropped that completely. It's like, man, okay, we mentioned the movie. Can we please go back to our storyline? They don't want to even be connected to the movies, I feel like. And it's sad because they're more interesting when they're connected to the movies. Either way, season 5, not good. but better than Agatha All Along. So, what will happen? Well, I'll catch you up in the next few weeks when I watch a few more Marvel TV shows and tell you my thoughts. And I'll tell you if I ever finished Agatha All Along. I'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.